So welcome back to our next part. Now in this part we will be creating a function for the central layouts, and then we will be creating another functions for our creating input fields and target. So this is the continuous part of our creating the main graphical user interface for our pod scanner. So let's continue with our next step. So as you can see, we have defined the function create layouts to create the central layouts. Now in our next step, what we are going to do is we will create another function for input fields. So let's get started. So we have created the function to create the input field for the target range. As you can see here, this is our target range on which we will be asking the users to put the target IP or domain name. For example, if you want to target google.com or something like XYZ, so you will be writing the uh, domain name here. For example, demo.xyz, and you will be writing in this field. This field is for that. And for example, you can either write it by the domain name or you can directly go by the IP. For example, 192.168, something like that. You can directly go with the IP or you can write the domain name here. And here, this is another one we created here field for the port range. Here you can define the specific port range. For example, if you want to go for port 1 to port 10, or port 10 to port 100, so you can predefine here. If you want to directly, you can define port, instead of 1 you can define port 1 to port 1000, like that. So you can define here. And so this another one label, this one is for the time. You want to specify how much time you want to take. For example, you can specify the time like saying you want 2 seconds for each scan. You will be providing 2 seconds to scan all the 2 seconds for each scanning processes. Okay, so you can give 2 seconds, 10 seconds, and you can even get 1 second. So this is it. This one is for the timestamp. This one is here for a port range, and this one is a main label for your input field for your target. So now we will be creating a handler method to create the styled queue label. So let's get started. So as you can see, we have created here two function. We have defined two function. One is the helper method to create the style queue label, and another one is to create a style queue line edit. So we have defined here style color, and then also we have defined the background color here, and we have also defined the border for the one pixel. And so we have styled this one, we have styled our labels. So in our next step, what we are going to do is we are going to create the buttons for the scanning, stop, and the clear result. So we need that because we want something to trigger the start scan process, stop scan, and clear. And we also need to some clear the log window, right? So we will be starting with creating that. Okay, so we have finally completed our buttons for scanning, stop, and clearing the result. So this button is for scanning. So we can scan, and we have styled this with a yellow color. So when it is triggered, it will initiate the start. So then we have created the stop scan. When it is triggered, it will start this stop scan, and we have made this a light blue color. And then another one, we created the clear result. So we want our log to be clear after some certain result has been performed. We want our log to be clear, and we want to reuse it again. So for that, we use this, and when it is triggered, the clear result, it will clear up the all logs, all the results shown here. And we use the green color for here. So this is our layout. So in our next step, what we'll be going to do is we'll be creating a helper method to create the styled queue push button. So we have defined this button. We have defined this method, helper method, to create the style queue push button. So now in our next step, what we are going to do is we are going to create a custom progress bar to scan, stop. So it will show us that all the process indeed progress bar. So let's get started. So now we have created four functions here. So let me explain you them one by one. So in this function, what we did is the progress bar. Okay, so the progress bar is added, and this gives us the visual feed. So the how much the progress has been completed, and we created another one. So the text area. So this text area is ready. So it will display all the results there, all the scan, pod scanned results there. It allows the user to see the pod scan and open close and the targets, all the timestamps. They all are shown here. And so we created another function, a button to export the result. So what we did is we created a function. So what we did, we exported this function. There is a result after the scan, completing of the scan, it provides the result, and if wanted to save that result. So what we did is we created this function so that it will save that result. So now, for our next step, we will add a menu bar with the file and help menu. The file menu will include an option to export the result as well, and the help menu will provide some instruction regarding our pod scanners. So let's get started. So we have created a status bar. So it will keep user informed about the current status of the applications, providing the real-time feedback. So now in our next step, we will add tooltips to our buttons. These tooltips will provide the hint to the user about what each button does. So let's get started. So tooltips are set. Tooltips are said this small hint improves the usability of the application by providing user with a quick information about each button and functionalities. So in our next step, what we are going to do is we will implement the functionality to start the scan process. This will involve reading the user input, validating it, and then starting the worker thread, which we have defined here to perform the scan. Okay, so let's get started. The scan function start functionality is implemented. Now we can implement a scan. Now initiate a scan, a pod scan by providing the necessary input by clicking the start scan button. So in our next step, what we will be doing is we will be adding a function to update the status message in the status bar. This will inform the user about the current status of the scanning process. Then what we'll be going to do is we will be again creating, then after we will create the stop scan process, then we will create the clear scan process, and then we will create another function for a scanning finished process. So we will be creating that, then I will be explaining them at a whole. So let's get started. So as we have completed, now let me explain you. So let's go with the stops the scan process. So the stop the scan process is implemented. User can now stop an ongoing scan by clicking the stop sign and then give them control of full scanning process, control over the full scanning process. So then after, let's go for the clear the scan result function. So this is function is in place, so user can now clear the previous scan result, making the applications ready for new scan. So if you want to use it again, so that will be good to go. So for this handle the scan completion function, when the scan is finished, the application resets the button and update the status message to inform the users. So when the scan is finished, it prompts up the message saying the scan finished. Now followed by our next function, we define the function to update the scan result in this area. So the users will be seeing the result of each spot scan in the real life. So if the target is for example XYZ, so it will go from 1. If you have defined portraits from 1 to 20, so it will go from 1, then after 2, then 3, it will show the live there. So in our next functions to update the progress bar, it has been defined and the progress bar will now reflects the current progress of the scan. So it is easy for the users to get the feedback for it. So in our next step, we are going to create the function to export the scan result to a file. So we will add this function. So this is useful for saving the files and reviewing the scan result later on. So if you want to keep the track record of your scan file, so that will be a lot more easier from here. So let's get started. So we have defined export result function. So to save our result, save our scanned result in the form of text file. So this functions is beautifully implemented. So user now can save their scan result to the text file, so that making it very easy to keep record and store their scan result, so they can use that later on. So in our next step, what we are going to do is we will add a function to show instructions in the dialog box, so that helps a user understand how this application works. So that will be very useful for any people to use it. So now let's get started. So now our instruction is ready, our functions for instruction. So at here you can see we have given the clear instruction. So for example, into the IP target range, target field, the specify port range, and we have given the proper detailed instruction here. So this instructions dialog is ready. So user can view details instructions on how to use this application, enhancing their experience. Okay, so in our next step, what we are going to do is we are going to create a function to handle the window close event. So this prevent the accidental closing of the application. So that will be really painful when our process is going on and then it accidentally closes it. So all our process will go on. So we don't want that, and we will create a function to prevent that. Okay, so let's get started. So we have successfully created the function which will prevent the accidental closing of our application. So that is very important. So when we are running our application, sometimes we might click the button of closed here, but it will close our application. So to prevent that, we have created this function. So in our next part, so that will be finally we will implement the main function to start the application. This functions will initialize and run our entire application. Okay, so let's get started. So finally, we have completed our main function to start our application. So we have completed our application. So let's go for an overview. So what we did, then we will save our application and we will run and see if it works or not. First of all, let's save our application and let's run if it works or not. So let's try to run this code. As you can see, it's working perfectly fine. Here we can see the target IP port range. It's in color green and yellow blue, as this is looking so beautiful, and we have our logo icon here. So in our file we can see the export result. In our help, here is instruction that we wrote, and let's try to do something. For example, Cooper.com, and from 1 to let's undo for 1 to 5, and here we can adjust our time. Let's start the scan. Here is the bar, and as we can see, this is working perfectly fine. And let's try to export this, and let's try to make it res the text. So let's try and check. So as you can see, we have successfully done this. So our application is running totally fine. Okay, so let's go and see the overview what we did to make this possible. So first of all, what we did, we imported all the necessary library. So let's keep this aside, so that will be easier for us. So okay, We imported all the necessary libraries that are required, for example, socket, IP address, PyQt5. Then, and the next step, we defined a custom progress bar. Then we defined and override the paint event to display the percentage in the center. Then we define the working thread for pod scanner, and we then initialize the scan worker thread. Then we uh, create a function to stop the scan, and then we create another function to run the scan progress, and then we create another function to calculate the total number of the pods. Then we created another one to get the numbers of the pod. Then we create another function to scan the host for open pods. Then we created another function to get the service name, and then we create another function of to scan the individual pod and emit the result. So we want, for example, the result you can see here, and we created the another function to emit the scan result. As you can see, it is all showing here in perfectly and beautifully layout. And we define a pod scanner function, and then we initialize the user interface. It's like icon, this field, and everything. And we set the window icon. Then we configure the GUI color palette. This all the color coding here is from here. This all this windows color is from here. All this windows, all this, as you can see, all that window that was there, all those that was this one. So then we created the central aligned layout. Then we created the another input field target, and that is this one, that is this one. We created this one is this. So then we created another method for the styling. Then we create another helper method. So yeah, then this one we created the button for start scan button, so that this code is this one. So this code initiate this one, the scan, stop, and clear result. So this code we coded is for this one, as you can see, for this one. Okay. So then we create another for quick push, and we created the custom progress bar. The custom progress bar, as you can see, the custom progress bar is this one, and this code is this one, custom progress bar. And a text area, as we see this text area is this one for seeing the result. This one is this one, as you can see here. And then for the export one, this code belongs to this one. So as you can see here, we created the export result, and export result, this is the code here. And we created the main menu for the file here. So, and this one is the status bar. As you can see, the status bar there, and the start scan process, as you can see here. And I'd like to show you. Yeah, we did the update the status. We updated the status message in the status bar. This function is to update the status message, and this function is to stop the process, scan process. This is to clear the result, and this one is to handle the scan computation process. If the scan is completed, it will show the scan finished, and this one is to update the scan result in the area. So all this area updated is being handled by this, and this one is to progress, update the progress bar, and this one is to export scan for the files. So when we click here and it is exported, this will be triggered, and this is the instruction dialog. As the can show you this one. As you can see here, this is the instruction dialog, and then the this is the code to prevent from closing, accidentally closing. So if you go there and if you try to close it, it will ask you this one. Exit, are you sure you want to exit? As you can see here, you can see this one. If you click yes, it will exit. If you click no, it will stay remained. Except if it is yes, then close event, and if not, then just ignore. And this is the main function. So this is the main function which run this one. So basically what we did is basically we completed our application totally. So this is the total working application. So what we can do is we can just create this application into executable file. So every time we don't want the script to run, so we can compact this in application and we can share this. For that, we need to just one thing, we need the logo and we need the main file. Okay, so for that, we need to install. So you can just directly copy this and open your command prompt, and you can just paste it and you can run it. First of all, you need this one. So as I have already this one, so I don't need this. So to start it, just type. So as you can see here, this files, this application open, and then you just need to go. Uh, you just need to go there and go and find the script. So this is my main scanner, and I want to create this, create an one director, one file, and then window based hide file. And just for your icon, this browser icon, this is my icon file. And if you have additional file, you can add here. And that's all. So if you have here is an advanced feature, so you can add here, but for now we don't need that one. So just after finishing that, convert to exe, so it will compact your file and it will create an exe executable file. So every time you don't need to share the PHP script, your code source code key script, you just need to send this executable file as an exe so they could directly run it. So as you can see, it says a cookie complete, and this is our location where our application has been set. Open this open output folder, and you can see here this is our application scanner. So when we open this, we don't need anything. So it's working totally fine. So as you can see, we can run here. We can, for example, go here and type google.com, and for 1 2 let's say 6, we want to scan. So it's complete. Let's clear this one. Let's try to close this. So it's complete. So let's close this one. We don't want this. So congratulations, you have successfully created a pod scanner application using Python. This application allows you to scan a range of pod on a specified target, display the result in the real time, and export the result to a text file. We have covered everything from setting up the topic project, so and creating a custom progress bar and implementing the scanning logic and building a fully functional GUI. So great job following along. And I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more programming tutorials. See you in next video. Thank you.